Wie viele devotees start English garnished first name? Everyone understand English. So
English, just one.
English is a majority today.
Yes. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavad Vastaradi Shatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Ram. Yes, this is Ram Katha. Some Indian gentlemen from Gujarat. He told me that there is still in some places this tradition that at some points in a year or in a week, a village is coming together, or many villages, and they hear about Ramayana. Sometimes for a night, sometimes for 7 days. I know some villages in India where this is still the case. And there are speakers, they know the whole Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, 24,000 shlokas by heart, every shloka. Fascinating, right? So this is the TV program in these villages. At the night, they come together after working, and then they hear about Ram, or about Krishna, or other forms of Bhagavan, usually Ramayana or Mahabharata. So either Ramayana or Krishna. Usually Ramayana is more popular. It's a little bit shorter, it's much shorter. Mahabharata is more than 100,000 verses. Although it is said, there are even people who know the Mahabharata by heart. Right. So there are Shrutidar. In Sanskrit, they are called Shrutidar. Dar means someone who's carrying something. And Shruti means something you hear, which is something which is heard. So they hear it and they remember it. Rare thing. In Kali Yuga, Manda Sumanda Matayo, it's said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, people are very unintelligent and lazy, spiritually spoken. As far as material advancement is concerned, oh yes, some people can be very determined. They're very eager to create, for instance, an internet. What an invention. Wow. Changed the world, right? So some focus on material advancement, and they consider themselves very successful if they invented, I don't know, an MP3 player or the internet or a new car or something. A car which can drive without a driver. Oof, they're proud. Wow, we can invent a car without a driver. But what is the use? So much time and energy and money is spent to depersonalize things. This is something Vaishnavas or spiritually oriented people, they try to personalize things, to have a personal exchange. The other form or those who are more interested in chaos and darkness, they try to depersonalize things. Internet is a wonderful or horrible example of depersonalization. Usually you do not see the other people or the other millions of people. Anyway, I don't want to talk about the internet. It is not a pleasurable topic. Yeah, but as far as Ram is concerned, he's a person. This is, I told this many times before, but this is one of the most fascinating aspects of Hindu culture. I call it Hindu culture, although the name is not very good. It's an artificial name created by the Muslims, but of Vaishnava culture, let's say Vaishnava culture, that God, the Supreme Person, is a person, Adipurusha, Parameshvara. He's not just a concept, he's not just an energy, not just an idea, a creation of the mind. No, it's a person with his own family, with his likings, dislikings, and you find descriptions, what kind of food he likes, what kind of clothes he likes, right? What his friends are, how he is speaking. A person. This is extremely important to understand Vaishnava philosophy, that it's not just an all-pervading energy. Of course, Krishna or Rama is also an all-pervading energy. This is one of his aspects. Brahman. Brahman means an all-pervading energy. But he's also Paramatma. He's sitting in everyone's heart. And he's Bhagavan, the person. Prabhupada gave the example that the Brahman aspect is compared to the sunshine, right? We see here sunshine, but not the sun. The sunshine is just the external energy. It's not the separated energy. It's not the sun himself. Otherwise we would burn. Even if the sun comes, I don't know, 1 million miles closer, we have a problem on Earth. What to speak if it would be here? So it's just the sunshine. It's like the Brahman effulgence. Vishnu means the all-pervading, and Krishna means the all-attractive. In Sanskrit, Krishna also means black, but in our sense, Krishna means the all-attractive, because he's attractive for everyone. And Rama means the source of all pleasure. Rama means pleasure. So all pleasure we experience, like sunshine, is Rama. Sunshine can be very enjoyable. Of course, too much is also not good. You know, in India, sometimes it's very hot. Whew. Sometimes it's really hot. I never stayed longer than April in India, because then it's getting hot. And sometimes I was in Jagannath Puri in June, because there's Ratha Yatra time. And then I went to Madras. What is it called now? Chennai, right. Jagannath Puri is nice, even in June, because there's the ocean and you get some nice breeze from the ocean, which is cooling. So you can tolerate. But Chennai, wow, it was so hot. It was so hot that it doesn't make sense to turn off the ventilator on the roof. because then it's getting hotter. Like in a sauna, if you do things like this, and then it's getting even hotter. So, horrible. So, but we need all sunshine. No. Without sunshine, then we are dead pretty soon. But sunshine is the separated energy of the sun. It's the Brahman intelligence. But there is also the planet sun, the planet itself. This is compared to Paramatma. Paramatma means the super soul. It's not a good translation in English, the super soul, but you cannot, for many Sanskrit terms, you cannot find really good translations in English or German. So the super soul is sitting in everyone's heart. This is spoken about in many places in the Puranas and Bhagavad Gita also. So the sun planet is like Paramatma. It's an but there's also a sun god. He's responsible for the sun. And this is compared to Bhagavan. It's a person. The sun god is a person. It's existing. So, and he's pretty important even in the Vedic literature. Surya. In Sanskrit, the sun is called Surya. Even in the Ramayana, he's important because he's the beginning of the lineage of Rama's dynasty. The son of Surya, the present Surya is called Vivasvan, and then his son is Vaivasvatamanu, and his son is Ikshvaku. And Ikshvaku is the founder of the line of the Chantra Vangsha, the Surya Vangsha, the tradition beginning with the sun god. Krishna's tradition starts with the moon god. Rama's tradition starts with the sun god, with Surya. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Surya says, or Krishna says that once upon a time, he gave all his knowledge to Surya, and he gave it to Vaivasvatamanu, his son. And Vaivasvatamanu gave it to Ikshvaku. He gave it to Ikshvaku. But then in the course of time, knowledge is lost. That is understandable. Over thousands and thousands of years, sometimes knowledge gets lost. So Krishna says, I have to appear again to re-establish this knowledge. So this is the reason, or one of the reasons, why these persons, like Ram or Krishna or Nrsingadev, Vamana, Varaha, and so on, they appear to re-establish knowledge. And overall, they want to establish Dharma. This is what Krishna says, Yada yada hidamasya glanya bhavati bharata abhyuntaram adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever adharma is getting on top, so to say, then I have to appear to re-establish Dharma. Dharma, in the Western world, usually they translate Dharma with religion. But in Sanskrit, there are 26 different translations for Dharma. It's one of these words which you can translate in all kinds of different other words compared to the connection. So Dharma is a kind of universal structure and order. It also means it's something which you cannot separate from you. Swadharma is also a word which means it's connected to you. Like the sugar is sweet. This is his dharma. If you eat something and it's not sweet, you do not think of sugar. Something else, but it's not sugar. Sugar is sweet. You cannot separate sweetness from sugar. This is his dharma, his function, his whole being. So every thing and every living entity has his dharma. Therefore, there is a society structure described in the Vedas. It's called Varnashrama Dharma. We do not have to speak much about this because in Kali Yuga, not much exists anymore of this Varnashrama Dharma, this structure of four, in the West they call it castes, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Brahmanas and Shudras, and these four stages of life, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. So this is a structure in a society to organize a society and to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Everyone knows what is his right and what is his duty. In Kali Yuga, these things are a little bit different, much different. But Dharma is an important point. And Dharma means that someone has to fulfill his duty without being envious. Just accepting what is my duty in this life, what is my ability. Someone might be able to repair a car, and others might be able to be a mathematics professor or something like this, or create the internet. So we all have different abilities. Everyone has abilities. Even the most lazy person has an ability. So the idea is to find out what is good for me, what is my profession, what can I do, what I do not like, what I like. And this is my profession. Maybe I'm just potato waller, seller of potatoes or vegetables. I'm a farmer. So why not? What's the problem? No problem. But it's hard. For many people, it's hard to accept that I'm maybe not so beautiful like the models in the TV. Maybe I'm not so good in playing football like I see in the TV. Or I'm not so good in dancing, or I'm not so good in acting, or whatever the idea is. Many try to become famous and rich. But it's not just depending on you if you become famous or rich. It's also depending on your karma. Right? There's so many stories, where people tried hard to accomplish something, and then they got it and they lose it immediately. Because it's not their karma. It's just not their karma to be rich. Yeah. Like I remember I think it was in the US, someone played the lottery and invested much money, and one day he won some millions, and then he got a heart attack and died. He was so excited, finally, right? And then he got a heart attack and died immediately. And there's an interesting TV show in the US. They made kind of documentary about people who won millions in the lottery. And then they visit them like 6 months later. And 99% of those who won a lot of money, they feel not better. Either they lost everything, by different, happenings, or they feel worse than before. So just to be becoming rich, it's not the end of all problems. Therefore, there is also a culture in Asia, not only in India, where you try to find out, even as a child, or when you're a child or a baby, what is your karma? What are your abilities? Are you good with money, or are you good with music? Are you good with philosophy? Right? Anyone went to Udupi once? You know Udupi? You coming from the area? No.
But the same state,
The same state.
Karnataka.
Karnataka, yes. Udupi is a wonderful place. Anyway, many things could be told about Udupi, but one thing is that around the main temple, there's a Krishna deity in the middle of the city, and there are 9 ashrams, so to say, 9 monasteries. So, and they always change, I think every year or 2 years, I don't remember, who is responsible for the puja and the management of everything, because it's a big place, many pilgrims coming there. And there's always a sannyasi who's on top of everything, of this ashram. And what they do is, if there is a candidate who might become the next sannyasi, because at one point everyone dies, so they need sometimes a new one. They check this person as a boy, and he's very young still, maybe 6, 7. So they check his horoscope and all kinds of things in the hand, and all kinds of things they do. And then they determine, is he be able to live as a celibate monk for the whole life? Because to live as a monk is not only a question of desire, it's also a question of determination and bodily abilities. Some people are just not able to do this. So they're very strict. So if they are sure that this person is able to be a sannyasi for his whole time, for his whole life, he's appointed. And you have seen sannyasis, they usually have a stick. Mayavadis have 1 stick, Vaishnava sannyasis have 3 sticks, 3 dandi sannyasi. So and if they walk in the city, these sannyasis, even when they're a boy, there's always a person before him walking and after him, so no one is touching him. And even if someone holds his stick and gives it to him, then he puts it on the ground and then he takes back his hand. So he's not touching the stick in the same second with the sannyasi. So they're so strict, and they're successful. Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that they understood his dharma is to become a sannyasi for his whole life. This is rare. They try to do the same thing with the Tibetan Buddhists, with the Dalai Lama. He was also appointed as a boy. So everyone has there is a material dharma and there's a spiritual dharma. The spiritual dharma is to be a servant. This is the key point in the Vaishnava culture. You are a servant. You have to serve someone. And even Ram, when he appears, he is serving others. Everyone serves others. You cannot live in a kind of vacuum, right? You serve your family, for instance. Maybe you're in your job, you serve your company, and you always serve your body. You take care of your body, but this body is not just your body. There are a lot of other living entities in this body, right? So you serve them just by living. So if you die, they're also very sad and die because there's no food anymore. So we always serve. Therefore, it's said in the Upanishads, Jivo, Jivasya, Jivanam. Every living entity is the food for another living entity. Right? If we die, then in the Christian tradition, they put you under the ground, which is not very recommendable. But then you are food for worms and insects and plants. Right? So in other tradition, you are burnt. If you die, this is much more intelligent. Why? Because the soul is connected with the body. Without soul, body is dead. And sometimes we are so attached to this body in this lifetime. In this lifetime, we might be Indian, we might be German, Polish, Russian, whatever. We might be man or woman, or both. We might be Hindu, Christian, atheist. But this is all just a designation for the external body. It's nothing. The soul is not Hindu or male or female. The soul is the soul. And in the next lifetime, we might be completely different. We might be female or male sometimes, or we might take birth in, I don't know, again in India, or maybe in Australia, Argentina, Germany, Poland, whatever. Or maybe on another planet. This is also possible. It's not that we always stay on the earth. Or we might become an animal. Dog in India is not, usually hard. Even a cow in India is usually hard. Of course, a dog in China is harder. You might end up in a cooking pot. They like to eat dogs. I don't know why. Anyway. So, or you're just an insect, a cockroach somewhere. Of course, there are songs by some Vaishnavas. They sing and pray to Krishna and say, I don't care where you send me the next lifetime. And even if I become a cockroach, then let me become a cockroach in the house of a Vaishnava. So I can hear some bhajan. Maybe some food falls on the floor. I can eat some prasadam, some holy food. Yes, this is all I want. Otherwise, you can do with me whatever you want. So at least I'm in a situation where I can make further advancement. Like in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the story of Maharaj Bharata. He was a great king. It's a long story. I don't want to tell it now. But the point is, due to circumstances, he became a deer in the next lifetime. He was a great yogi, great king, wonderful person, but somehow he became a deer. But he remembered his last lifetime. This was the special thing. Normally, animals don't remember their last lifetime. So he remembered, oh, I was a king. I was so advanced in the spiritual field, in yoga, and I went into the forest on my own just to sit there and meditate and pray, and then I got attached to a deer, and now I'm here as a deer. Oh my goodness, what have I done? I wasted my human life. But since he remembered, he thought, okay, let me finish this strange life, as a deer. And then I hope in the next lifetime I get a better chance again to do some spiritual advancement. So he knew that to make advancement, you have to sacrifice things. Austerity, tapasya is necessary. Like in the Vaishnava culture, we refrain from eating meat, fish, and eggs. For some people, this is tapasya. In Bengal, the Bengalis, they have no problem to stay away from meat, but to stay away from fish, this is tapasya for them. Therefore, in Bengali, they call fish not fish. They call it swimming cucumber. Just this a little, they try to trick Krishna by this. This is, of course, nonsense, but a fish is a fish. It's an animal. It's a living entity. Just by calling him cucumber doesn't make it better, right? So anyway, but for many, this is hard. Do not eat meat and fish and eggs. So this is tapasya. And Vaishnavas also refrain from illicit sex life. This means outside of marriage. This is especially hard for many people. And also we avoid intoxicants like alcohol and, of course, illegal drugs anyway. So, and gambling also. These 4 things Vaishnava try to follow. And this will purify your mind and your body. But it's tapasya, especially here in this culture. In India, if you live in a forest somewhere, I don't know, in South India, near Udupi, there's a nice forest, right? Big forest with hills. And I know people, German also, who's living there, and then in the summer they go up the hills because it's cooler there. It's so hot, right? Anyway, so yeah, of course, if you live in a forest somewhere in a nice ashram, then it might not be so difficult. But even for Mahabharata, he was a great king, and he lived many millions of years ago, where the air was pure, the water was pure, there was no one in the forest. He got attached to a deer, right? So he became a deer. He remembered his last lifetime, and he thought, okay, I have to do some tapasya. So what tapasya, what austerity you can do as a deer? He made a vow. He said, I will eat only dry leaves. For a deer, the nicest thing is fresh green leaves. Take it from the tree directly or from the ground, right? This is their heaven. And he said, no, I'm such a fool. So I will take only dry leaves which have fallen from the tree. And this is like, if you have a vow like eating only hard old bread the whole lifetime. Right? This is, if we would serve you now, after the ceremonies, just some old hard bread, I don't know how many would come again, right? I mean, it would be a nice test. Who comes again after this? He is really determined. But we serve nice food, right? Tasting food, because we cannot offer dry bread. This is not our way to serve Krishna. But this deer, he made this vow, and he did another thing. He went to the Himalayas, and then he saw a group of sages sitting there. Of course, not on top of the Himalayas, but somewhere on the ground near the Himalayas. And they were discussing spiritual topics. This is a nice thing in India. Sometimes you meet people. I remember once Air India was late, of course. We had a flight to India, and then Air India was late, and they put us into a hotel near the airport. And then we went to the sauna in the hotel, and then suddenly we had a long talk with three Indians about Bhagavad Gita right there. So we discussed different philosophical points. But that's nice. Sometimes you meet people which are philosophically minded, which are curious, which are interested in the truth. And so there were some sages sitting there, and we're discussing things about samsara and karma and dharma and Bhagavan, Paramatma, and all these topics. And the deer understood this and just sat there near where the deer could hear what they speak. And of course, the sages were a little bit surprised what this deer does, because the deer was not just standing there, but was standing there the whole day. As long as they discussed things, the deer was standing there, was listening. So this went on for years. This was the tapasya of the deer. And the next lifetime, he became again a human being. Anyway, it's a long story. But what I was trying to say that for an animal, it's not the dharma to make spiritual advancement. They just live. So if they are lucky, then someone else engages them in spiritual life. Right? This sometimes happens. So for us human beings, we are in the different positions. We can come here and hear about Ram. We could be somewhere else. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are now somewhere else. Whatever they do, but they find something else more interesting. It's a pity, because this human form, it's rare, it's valuable. We can ask questions: where I'm coming from, where I'm going, what is this? What is the use of this life? Is there a God at all? Does this Ramayana, this book, the story of Ram, is it just a story? Is it true? Could it be that a person comes from another world millions of years ago and lived on the earth? Yes, these are questions. I remember after one lecture, an Indian gentleman came to me and said, I do not believe. I said, this is not possible. Everyone believes. You cannot avoid to believe. Belief is a constant in our life, in every minute. What differentiates us is that the object of our faith, of our belief. right? You came here because you believed it will be nice. I will have a nice time. I will hear about Rama or Krishna, Bhagavan. I will meet some nice people. Maybe I get some nice food. So why not go? Right? But when you went out of your house, you had to step on the street. But you did not know if if there's not a hole maybe, and you fall down. You just walked to your car or to the S-Bahn or whatever. But you cannot know if there is a danger or not. If you cross the street, maybe there's a car coming and the guy is drunk or whatever, right? You enter the S-Bahn, but you don't know what is going on, who is there. Maybe it drives, maybe not. So in every step you take, you have to believe. You sit down here on the floor, you do not know what is happening in 1 minute. You just believe. You think, okay, I was sitting here many hours before, so I don't think that the floor will open up and I'm swallowed by some, I don't know, hellish monster coming out of the floor. No. So you cannot check every meter before you step on the street. And if you drive a car, if you have a green light, you drive. It's not that you always look, for a minute if the others have also a red light and if they're all standing and waiting. If you check this, that they all have a red light, then the green light already is gone. So you stand there for years. You cannot do this. You have to believe. You see the green light and you drive. You believe that all the others, they have a red light, but you do not know. And even if they have a red light, you do not know that they still drive because they don't care about red or green. You do not know. You go into a shop and you buy bread or cheese or whatever. And you open up and you eat it, right? You never check this, if there's some poison in it or not. If you are going to check all this, you get mad. You cannot do this. You have to believe 100 times a day. Every time you drink water from the tap or you take a step or, you turn on the TV or whatever, maybe the TV explodes. Happens sometimes. But you do not think that this is possible, right? You do not buy a suit like these bomb experts, and then you turn on the TV. Oh, it doesn't explode, okay. No, you do this. You believe. And so sometimes people come and say, I do not believe in God. And usually my first response is, please describe, what do you think of God? What do you think is God? And then you give a description, and in 99% I say, well, I also do not believe in such a God. What is your understanding of God? This is strange. Yeah. So they say they do not believe in something which they do not know. If to say that I believe in something I do not believe, it means I have to know the object of my belief. Otherwise, what is the point? So everyone believes in something. You cannot not believe. Every day, hundreds of times, you believe. So the question is, what is my object of belief? Why I believe in these things and not in other things? This is the question. Why I believe people which I never met, they say there's no God. Or like they say in the beginning was nothing. There's a astrophysical department of scientists, and they say in the beginning was nothing. Nothing. Because if there is something, then the question arises where the something is coming from. Of course, another department says in the beginning was a Big Bang. But then again, the question arises where the Big Bang comes from and the energy of the Big Bang. And I don't want to go into the details what they answer, but there's no proof for this. There's no proof. No proof. Have you ever seen that just by a Big Bang, such a complicated thing like the universe is created? There are millions of planets, and they do not bump each other all the time, right? They have their orbit. All these millions of planets. What a structure. Therefore, it's called cosmos in Greek. Cosmos means order. There's a structure, there's an order. It's not chance. Just by chance, they're all in their orbits and flowing around, billions of tons heavy, right? They're all just flowing around, just by chance. Wow. And another theory is that matter creates life, right? There's obviously a difference between life and not life. We make a difference between things living and dead, right? Therefore, if there's an accident on the motorway, they say, oh, there are so many cars hurt and there are injured people. They make a difference between the people and the cars. Or if there's a bomb exploding, they make a difference. So many people are killed and this damage has been created. If I go on top of a high building and I throw down a chair, who one really cares, right? If no one is hurt down on the street. But just a chair, so maybe I get a fine of 20 euros because Ordnungswidrigkeit, it's called in German. But if I throw down a human being, that's a completely different thing. Why? It's all matter, right? Matter, just matter. This is what many people think. This is matter, I'm matter, this just different chemicals. No, everyone makes a big difference if I throw down a chair or a human being. And I might get sentenced for the whole life in jail, right? For murder. But if we are all just chemicals and matter, why I'm sentenced to death? Or if I'm sent to the jail for 20 years, if this human being is also only matter. What's the point? It's just matter. No, even the hardest materialist makes a difference. Because there is some life, there's some spiritual energy in the body, right? And if the soul leaves the body, then suddenly the body is just matter. It rots after some time. So it doesn't make sense, this material understanding. Doesn't make sense at all. How many proofs we have that matter creates life? Not One. They're trying hard. Like in Switzerland, they have a whole complicated building with, anyway, machines trying to create life. The most simple elements of life, but they not succeed. You cannot accept or expect. You know that these pillars, they're all lying there, but they will sit there for the next 1,000 years if no one is doing anything with them. It's not that after 10 years suddenly some small pillars are appearing because they had some love affair, right? You can put two cars in a garage. Do not expect that after sometimes there's a little car there. Matter doesn't create life. We have never seen it even once. There's only the theory that this has been done. But what we see every day, 1,000 times, million times, life creates life. There are two living people, or two living animals, or two living whatever, and they create another living being. You can add a dead woman and a dead man, there is no child coming. Doesn't work like this. Both have to be living. And it's the same with animals or plants or whatever, they have to live. This we see every day, millions of times. I mean, I don't know how many births are there, how many humans are born every day on this earth. Hundreds of thousands, because the parents are living. There's a living man and a living woman. Matter never creates life. Life comes from life. This is one of the basic understandings we have to have in order to understand Vaishnava philosophy. And this life has to come from somewhere. The spiritual energy has to come from somewhere. And this somewhere, it's called the Absolute Truth, or Ram, Krishna. There are many, many, many names. It's there. It's a person, not just an energy. The energy we usually understand if we approach this whole topic of spiritual life. What we first understand that there is an energy. Just like the first thing we understand about the sun is the sunshine. We see the sunshine. We experience the sunshine. Oh, it's warm. Right? So this we understand there is some pervading energy, which keeps everything in order. There is some energy which keeps us alive. There's something which is higher, which is bigger and stronger than us. This we understand first. This is called Brahman, understanding. There is something. It's not just chance. Only a fool, Einstein said, only a fool would think that behind this universe is not an intelligence. It's like we have a kind of ÖPNV, it's called in German. You have this buses and U-Bahn and S-Bahn and these things. Öffentlicher Personennahverkehr. Can you imagine how many people have to work hard every day that everything is going on? I don't know how many S-Bahn are going every day back and forth, 100 or something. And there are buses, there's U-Bahn, there's tram, and this all has to be coordinated. And then sometimes someone is sick and cannot drive the bus, or There's a working area, and all these things every day. Yeah. And if someone would come and say, "Well, this is all by chance," just by chance. No, there are hundreds of people working every day to coordinate these things. And then, if you look at this universe with these millions of planets, then you think of a chance. This is just happens by chance. I mean, you can believe it if you like, of course, but it doesn't make sense to me, to be honest. It doesn't make sense. We see that even this little feast here at Sunday, we have to organize it, right? Someone has to be here, there has to be some heating, some cooking. So we organize it. It's not that we are sitting here and then you think, okay, it's 2:00, so what do we do now? Okay, let's just see what happens. And then if everyone is waiting for food, for nice prasadam, you think, we thought by chance the whole universe has become into existence. Why not such a little feast? By chance could have happened, right? You all would think that they are crazy, really. Everyone knows if you want to prepare some food, you have to organize it. You have to buy it, you have to cook it, and so on. By chance, no, nothing is happening. So it's that I do not understand if someone can believe in chance is a proof. It's not a proof that it doesn't exist. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything happens by chance. Okay. But definitely it doesn't make sense to me. This is for sure. So no one could convince me that this makes sense, that everything happens by chance. That everything happens in an order, in a structure, in a plan, that life comes from life. This makes much more sense. Because I see it also every day. I see it, children, and they have living parents, right? We see it every day. Life comes from life. There is a soul. This is distinct from the body. These are two different things. We are a spirit soul and we have a body. It's not that we are a body and we have a spirit soul. No. We are a spiritual soul and we have a body. And next lifetime, maybe again, a body in India, maybe as a Brahmana, in Tirupati, chanting mantra. Tirupati is also a very nice place. In Udupi, maybe, being a Brahmana. Nice. You can also become a cockroach in Udupi. I have never seen such big cockroaches like in this temple in Udupi. Oh, huge. You know why they are so huge? Because Krishna, they use a lot of ghee there. Tons of ghee. Ghee is kind of butter, right? For those who do not know. Clarified butter. And they like it. And they become strong and big. But no one cares there, right? It's not that the pujaris or the visitors are trying to throw out the cockroaches. No. They're kind of inventory there. So maybe there were great souls in their last life, and now they have taken versus cockroaches. They made a mistake, but they said, the karma said, okay, you made a big mistake, you have to become a cockroach, but you are Vaishnava and you also did good things, so you can become a cockroach in a Krishna temple. I don't know. This is not my business. This is Paramatma's business to decide where to go, because he knows. He knows all my last lives. Can you imagine what intelligence? He knows. He's sitting in everyone's heart. Sarvasya Chaham Riddhi Sanivishto. Krishna says, I'm sitting in the heart. Riddhi means in the heart. Sarvasya Chaham. Sarvasya means in all hearts. Riddhi Sanivishto. Mata Smritya Jnanam Apohanam Cha. For me are coming remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So Krishna, in the form of Paramatma, sitting in everyone's heart, not only human beings, every animal, every plant, every stone. Many stones are also living, by the way. So he's sitting there, and he knows all my past lives, thousands, maybe millions. And he decides exactly what my karma is. Wow, what an intelligence, right? There is no computer in the world, who could, think of doing something like this. No way. And in the next 100 years, there will be no computer who's able to do this. And he's not doing this for me. He's doing this for everyone. For every butterfly, for every wolf and crocodile and elephant and human being in Singapore or in Warsaw or in Gujarat, in Kolkata, whatever, Chennai, Vrindavan, Ayodhya, München. For every this, imagine in this room there are millions of living entities. There may be 20 humans, but there are millions of other living entities. Small, we do not see them. And we kill them every time we breathe. We all kill us. But this is unavoidable. Because stop breathing is not very helpful if you are trying to live further. So every time we walk on the street, we kill. Right? There are small living entities there. But this we have to do. This is natural. Eating meat, we do not have to do. This is not necessary. So, yes, this is a wonderful opportunity as human beings to hear about Krishna and Rama. No one else can do it. No animal. We do not see this. That their cats and dogs are coming here, scratching on the window. Oh, let us in. We want to hear about Krishna and Ram. No. They don't care. They care only about eating, sleeping, mating, and the family. That's all. These are the basic 4 activities for every living entity. We are looking for something to eat. We have to sleep. We want to procreate. And we have to defend ourselves. That's natural. Normal. And if we, reduce our life, our human life, to these 4 things, just looking for something to eat, something to sleep, someone to have sexual intercourse with, or something to defend. It might be nice. We might have a nice human life, but we are wasting our life. Because this we can do in any other form. We can become a tiger, and then we are very strong to defend ourselves. We can become a pigeon. They have 50 times sex a day. We can become a pig. Then we eat everything, but we fine. Or we can become an, I don't know, who's sleeping a lot? Cats? I think cats sleeping a lot. Or a bear. We sleep 6 months. Oh, nice. Oh, 6 months. Before we are eating a lot, so we get fat, and then we are sleeping 6 months. That's great. No trouble. We just have a nice place, warm and cool. Yeah, okay. You can become a bear if sleeping is so important. There are other living forms which are much better for these things: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Much better. Right? And there's no bad conscience. The tiger has no problem with eating another animal. He doesn't think, oh, I'm such a cruel, brutal living entity. I killed this poor deer. Oh my goodness. I'm such a wretch. Maybe I should become vegetarian. No way, the tiger never thinks like this. Right? He doesn't care. His dharma is to be a meat eater. That is all right. It's okay. No problem. For him, it doesn't create bad karma. He's a meat eater. Okay. Why not? So he just has to live for a certain time as a tiger, and then Paramatma has to decide where to go. Probably another animal form. From a tiger, you don't go immediately to a human form. There are other animal forms before you become a human. But this is another topic. So that's all right. But we should have a bad conscience eating meat, because it is killing, it is violence, unnecessary violence. If you are in a jungle and the tiger is attacking you, this is something else. Previously in Nepal, the kings or the princes who were about to become kings, one of their tasks was they had to go just with a javelin to the forest and have to fight with a tiger and kill the tiger. So this was just to show that they are ready to fight, because as a king you have to defend your country. This is your duty. So you have to show that I'm ready to fight. I'm a kshatriya. So this is something else. If you're just, armed with a javelin, then the tiger has a good chance, right? Of course, the human being is more intelligent. He can create some things, but still the tiger has a fair chance. This is something else. You're not killing just for fun, or as people are driving, they're going to Africa on a safari just to shoot other animals. I mean, what kind of nonsense? And what kind of pleasure? What is this? It's horrible. What a mentality. If they're really interested in these things, they should buy a computer video game and then maybe there they can shoot. It's still nonsense, but at least they do not kill another living entity, they only kill their own mind. Yeah. So this is not necessary. We are not forced to be in a situation where we have to eat meat or fish. No, it's wonderful in this place. You can live as a vegetarian, no problem. No problem at all. We are not living in the Arctic or Antarctic as Eskimos. We don't have to chase other penguins or robs, or what they call seals. It's not necessary. We can live very easily by vegetarian food. And don't underestimate the influence this has on your mind, not only on your body, but also on your mental abilities to understand philosophical points. This is important. And interestingly, whenever I ask in India anyone the question, was Ram a vegetarian? Everyone answers immediately, yes. But this is not true. Normally, we connect vegetarianism to goodness, purity, and of course, Ram is Bhagavan, is goodness, purity incarnate. But he appeared as a kshatriya in the mode of passion. And kshatriyas, they are allowed to eat meat, to be passionate. Meat makes you passionate. Although it's not completely explicitly in the Ramayana said if he ate meat or not. But normally they also chased animals, Lakshman chased animals, and they offered animals in rituals and these things. So it's hardly improbable that they had only vegetarian food. But the first reaction is spontaneously, yeah, of course he was a vegetarian. Ram never ate meat, right? Because meat is not, we cannot put this together, Ram, the pure, the Bhagavan, the absolute truth, and eating meat. But of course, on another level, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, which is an expansion of Ram, he eats the whole universe. Mahavishnu, or Karana Dakashai Vishnu. Karana means cause, Udaka means ocean, and Shai means someone who's laying down. So he lays on the causal ocean, and when he breathes out, billions of universes come out of his body. And he breathes in, they all go back into his body. So he's not only eating meat in the sense, he's eating the whole universe. So there is no question of impurity in the case of Rama or Krishna. Everything is pure, whatever he does. But still we are, the spontaneous reaction is that, yeah, of course, Ram. And then if we talk a little bit and then they think about it some minutes, then they say, oh yeah, right, he was a kshatriya, he was a king. Maybe he ate also meat. Yeah. So we are not in the situation of Ram. We are not kshatriyas, we are not brahmanas, we are not vaishyas. We are all shudras, kala shudras, sambhava. And Srimad Bhagavatam says, Kali Yuga, everyone is equal in the sense that we are born as Shudras. Yeah. Spontaneously, we are hardly interested in spiritual life and philosophical points, right? Of course, if you are born in India, and if we are luckily enough, we have good karma, Janmaishvarya Shruta Shri, it's said in 4 kinds of good karma. And it means we are born, one, Shruta means we like to hear about spiritual things. We have an example before our eyes. We are born in a family which maintains Vaishnava culture. This is very good karma. Still, it's our own decision if we follow or not. Because devotion to God is not, it doesn't depend on external circumstances. They can help, right? They can help. If you're raised in a household, like you told me, where there is some Vaishnava culture, they worship Vishnu, they offer their food to Vishnu, they pray to Vishnu, right? So you get an idea, you get a taste, and maybe you will follow yourself. But still, it's not a must. It's your own decision. Devotion to God is not a question of family or culture or being poor or rich. It is your own individual decision. You can ask yourself, do I want this? So things which can help us to make our decision are prasadam, spiritual food, of course knowledge, like Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and so on. Sangha, to meet people who are in the same way, who are also interested in spiritual life. Yes. Chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, of course. It's an important thing. And another thing is that we hear about Rama, right? Or we read about Rama. And therefore I said this. You tell me when to stop, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 5-10 minutes.
5 to 9. In the beginning, I said there was this Indian gentleman who said, I do not believe. Okay. But hearing about Rama or Krishna, it is helpful so that we become attached. How can you believe in something which you never heard of? If you never heard of Krishna and his pastimes or Rama and his pastimes, you cannot decide if you believe or not, right? So therefore Rama comes. He comes as a person to this planet, to the earth. The earth is special because many avatars appeared on the earth. Not all of them. Some appear also on the heavenly planets. But Krishna, for instance, and Rama, they appeared here. Also Buddha, Kalki, Parshuram, Nrsingadev. They all appeared here on this planet. So then, Of course, people like to know what happened, what's going on. What did he do on this planet? And there will be always some holy people who are writing down or composing the life of these persons, like the Ramayana. It's the story on Ram, how he was here on this planet. Not the complete story. There are many more stories. The story is much longer. On the heavenly planets, they have another Ramayana, which is much longer. But for us earthlings who have a limited ability to understand things, it's only 24,000 slokas. And the most important things are there. Why did he come? What did he do? What happened? He had to fight. So this is attractive, right? We like to hear good stories. So this is attractive. So it helps us. In the beginning of Kali Yuga, this knowledge, this whole Vedic knowledge was one big body of knowledge, so to say. So there was a person, Vyasa. Vyasa means someone who's bringing things in order, who's structuring things. So he understood there is a need to structure the whole Vedic knowledge a little bit more, so it's easier to understand. So he divided this whole knowledge in four parts, the four Vedas, Yajura, Sama, Rig, and Adhava. And then he also wrote the Puranas, because he understood, this knowledge, like in the Upanishads, it's too complicated for many people to understand. So Puranas are easier to understand. And still he was not satisfied. And then he thought, okay, I write some adventure book. And he wrote the Mahabharata, or he dictated the Mahabharata. Ganesha wrote it down. So because he understood, in the coming age, the Kali Yuga, people, they are slow, and they are not so interested, sitting down for hours to discuss or to think about philosophical points. But they like to hear stories. Nice stories. I mean, look at the TV. This is 90% is some story here and there. Sometimes stories about fools, how they do stupid things, or sometimes about heroes, whatever. Yeah, we like to hear this. This entertains us. So, and in the Ramayana, also, it's a story, a long story with many fights and intrigues and important characters. Of course, there are many animals who can speak and who are intelligent. Huge fights, huge wars, even bigger than in Lord of Rings. Unbelievable billions of Rakshasas and Vanaras are fighting and killing each other. Billions. Wow. With all kinds of magic weapons, floods of fires and invisible enemies, and the whole thing. Anyway, it's a wonderful story. It'll be fascinating if you read it. And this helps us to connect us, to get attached to Ram. Therefore, he's coming. He does not have to come to kill Ravana. He can send an insect, a little snake, a poisonous snake or a scorpion or something. Ram has not to come to kill Ravana. No. But he also likes a good fight. Yeah. The desire, to see a good fight or to fight yourself, it comes from Bhagavan. He also has this desire. Sometimes he likes to fight. Therefore, Nrsingadev came to the earth to be angry. Nrsingadev is half man, half lion, right? So it is said in one of the Puranas, if he is in the spiritual world, he's never so angry. But to show his anger or to live out his angry mood, he comes to the earth. And as he's angry, because his Vaishnava, Prahlad, is harassed. So, Nrsingadev is angry. Ugra. He's Ugra. Very angry. Because he has this ability inside. But in the spiritual world, how can you be angry on someone? So he uses these pastimes. Therefore, they are called Leela avatar. Leela means a pastime, a sport. They do not have to do it, but they just do it out of pleasure. Rama can stay in the spiritual world as long as he wants. And he does. He's never leaving the spiritual world, even if he comes to the earth. Yeah. So he's trying to experience different moods. So, and we can participate. Therefore he comes. We can hear about him. We can talk about him. We can criticize Ram if we want. That's all right. We can criticize Ram. Some people do. He killed a woman, or there are some instances. He banned Sita and these things. But this is also good. This is some early Indologists, Western Indologists, they were surprised that in the Vaishnava culture, the Vaishnavas are not upset if someone is criticizing Bhagavan or criticizing Rama, Krishna. No, they liked it. I mean, they liked it, maybe not the right word, but they understood it's always good to be in connection with the Supreme. If you will pray to him or if you criticize him. Even if you criticize him, it will help you to become closer to him, to get purified. It's a good sign. It's your fortune if you are killed by Krishna or Rama. You make advancement. Anything in touch with the Supreme purifies you, helps you. That's a good thing. Even if you criticize him, that's all right. You have to speak his names. You have to think about his name. You have to think about Ram if you want to criticize him. So you are in touch. That's good. So therefore of course, it's to say that we like to be criticized. It's not, it's not, this is true. But there was an article in the early 20s last century about Krishna and the organization Bhaktisiddhanta had founded. And one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, the guru of Prabhupada, read this article, which was not very, how to say, friendly towards Bhaktisiddhanta. And at the end, Bhaktisiddhanta said, "Oh, how many times the name Krishna appeared?" And the disciple said, "Oh, 5 times." "Oh, then it was a good article." He didn't care if he is criticized or not. But Krishna was mentioned 5 times. That's good. Therefore, he said, he was asked, why didn't you name your organization International Society of God Consciousness? Yeah, it's called International Society of Krishna Consciousness. And Prabhupada said, yes, Krishna has to be there. So the people hear this name, and every time they hear this name, they will be purified. Because God is not the name of the Supreme. God is just a position. It's not the name of the person. Krishna is the name of the person. It's a person. God is just a position. Right? And in different cultures, you have different names. Allah or Jesus or Jehovah, Krishna, Rama, and so on. Krishna is the person. Krishna has to be there. So every time we speak about Krishna or Rama, even if we refer to a panorama cinema or the Buddha Rama or whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah. If we use this name every time we get purified, we make a little advancement, and we use this human life in the right way. Your battery is running low. Yes. Since our whole battery is running low, we need some food, right? You might want to plug in your PC. Yes. We might be plugged in to Krishna consciousness. That's the point. Right? And as this machine needs some energy to run further, we also need this. So for the material body we need, of course, eating, drinking, and so on. And for our soul also needs food. And this is chanting, reading. There are 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevana, and so on.